way I understand, the more people that visit, the more, in a sense, the communication, bringing back old memories or whatever. Like I plan to maybe do this tape that he's doing up there with her little laptop. So I guess what I'll sort of try and start it off here, I got a couple little stories. One of the things, even though I'm the father, Vanessa was really a very secretive, and I really didn't know, Dusk and I and Gina, we didn't really know Vanessa very much because she kept to herself. But in this last 6 months, since she had the stroke, we sort of had a captured audience. You know, I go to the Highland Hospital and I say, Vanessa, I'm sorry, but I'm coming. You know, I'm going to sit here and hold your hand and encourage you, whatever it is. You know, and I even told her, you can't escape. You can't get away. So just sort of memories, little stories. I remember when I was in Europe, just to sort of tell you about this Vanessa, and I received a letter from her mother. I think I was on the slopes up there in San Antonio. That Vanessa had just started talking. Now we're talking about a person that was 5.5 years old. She just started talking. So, you know, so, and let's jump way ahead. Up here, they used to come out during the summer. There was a divorce. The kids stayed back there, and they'd come out in the summer. So Vanessa wanted to go to Tilden. I gave her some money. She was up at Tilden. She lost the money. She tried to get on the bus. It was 15 cents for children then. She lost that 15 cents, and the bus driver said, "Hell no, you're kidding me." And then, so she walked up there and saw a neighbor in the yard watering and convinced that neighbor to take her home. I'm trying to think of another story. Well, let's see, like with Ryan here, I mean, I used to go over at Shelley, that would be Dusk's mother, and Vanessa lived together, and I used to go over and visit her now and then, for whatever reasons, take her books or whatever, some money, and so the next thing, Leslie, that would be her mother, my ex-wife, she calls, she says, she's had a baby, it's Ryan. Well, I did not know it. She kept it completely secret from me, you know, a disguise, you know. And I'm missing my last story here. But I guess what I would really like to hear, people, this feels good to do this, you know, to hear to be able to express yourself. I hope that you can come up with little stories. I'd like to know more about this. I'm going to do a little rap here, convincing you to come out with these little stories. I think the process of telling the little stories really helps. I mean, I'm growing older here. There's more and more memorials or funerals, and when you get a chance to talk in sort of an at ease environment, outdoors especially, it seems to work really well. So I haven't got it set up. Who's the next person?
Well, I saw Vanessa today, and I hadn't seen Vanessa probably for about a year. But when I did see her last, she was living up there on Grizzly Peak, and she had been working for Harriet, taking care of Harriet, and she was good at her job. She's a compassionate person, and you know, she was happy. She had been going to school. You know, Vanessa, like Mike says, was extremely secretive, and we lived together for probably 6 years, and I never knew, for instance, that she had such a severe addiction to heroin as she did. That being said, you know, she kept to herself a lot about her interpersonal demons and that kind of stuff. So, but she always managed, throughout all her addiction and all her time, she always managed to be a responsible person, where she always put the kids first. You know, she helped raise my daughter Rachel, who's now 16. You know, and She was like a mother to my child, and she was a mother figure to many of the children that were, you know, coming through my house. Ella was one of them. What, pardon me? Yeah, and a few of the adults too, you know, a good point. But she was always very generous with her time, very, you know, very energetic towards the children and taking them places to the parks and to the zoo with me. She was, you know, just a wonderful, nurturing person, you know, and this despite the fact that she had this raging problem going on, you know, so she really had, I think, you know, to struggle hard to, you know, to find that energy that drugs rob your energy from, you know, and a lot of people on drugs, whatever, they let all that other stuff go because they're so into the drugs. They let the kids go. Vanessa never did that. She always took the best care of my child, her own child, Ryan, who lived with us at their house in Grace, and she was just, like I said, a very nurturing person. So I saw her today, and you know, I told her that we were all going to get together. There was a lot of people coming from a lot of different places to Live Oak Park, and we were going to celebrate her life and talk about her and put a lot of good vibes in the air, and maybe some of that would, you know, filter down. And I said, you know, you really have to, if you're in there somewhere, you really need to find the door, find a window, whatever is going on in there, and you need to find it and get out of there. You need to wake up, because there's a lot of people that love you. You still got a whole life ahead of you. You know, we want to see you back in your walker and your wheelchair. We could get you a little electric scooter. You could be tooting around town, you know, and really, you know, and I could see Vanessa doing that, you know, and there's a lot of life left in people, you know, that have severe disabilities, you know, and I'm not, and but I also told her, I said, you know, at the same time, we don't want to see you in a place that you're suffering or that there's no return from, you know, so, you know, and when I looked in her eyes, when I first got there, I looked at her eyes were mostly open, and my gut feeling was that she didn't want to be left in this place, this purgatory, this cell that she couldn't escape out of. I really felt that, you know, and it kind of broke my heart, but at the same time, so then I said to her, I said, you know, we're going to give it some time. Anything could happen. We're going to give it some time, you know, and we really need you to get out of this, to wake up, you know. So if you can wake up, if you can find wherever you're at inside there, follow that light to get up and get, you know, to open your eyes and get conscious, you know. And it's like, we just want to give it some time, you know, but we also don't want to see you in a place that you're in this terrible state of, you know, limbo forever and stuff, and we're not going to let that happen either. So, but we're just hang in there and try to wake up and try to, you know, try to wake up so we can help you, you know, and you can join us again and be a part of our lives, because we don't want to lose you in our lives. We need you, we love you, and we're going to be talking about you, telling all kind of bad stories and stuff. So anyways, that's what I have to say. But to me, she was a great person, a very nurturing, kind, sweet, considerate, secretive, yeah, but she never let that, it wasn't secretive like she was keeping something, you know, that you know, that had a real negative effect, but she somehow worked through all that stuff and shared all her life with all the people that she interacted with. She was generous, and I mean, there was even a time when my ex-girlfriend moved into the house that I was living at with Vanessa.
Make them who they are. My mom, as we've just discussed, not only two people talking, had quite a few problems and a bad upbringing, but I think it's the little things that I've also mentioned and that have kind of bring her out as the person she is. She was always very antisocial and didn't always get along with a lot of people, but she did have a lot of times when she did help, you know, she helped Travis and stuff. I was surprised by that. Shane moving in was huge for me. She always had such a bitter rivalry with Shane, and having Travis move in was just huge. And when she met you and Rachel, you know, Rachel was like her daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, she respected Rachel a lot. And there's lots of other people. She always loved my friends.
Yeah.
It was weird. She loved everything basically that I was into. And so I think there's some things in there that she really had a lot of, you know, love for and respect for. So, and also the last few years, the changes she overcome, like she got a job. I had never known her to ever get a job in my entire life, and she's actually living on her own, paying like her own bills. it was amazing. And I mean, just these changes, and it's really so sad for me because I've known so many people over the last 10 years or whatever that have these parents, or they make these changes and then they die. And you know, it doesn't seem fair, but I mean, I like to think of it as, in the long run, they died with a purpose, and they, you know, they got over their hump. You know, they they didn't have a bad ending, basically. And that's like how I like to remember her by.
Someone that didn't hardly go to school very much.
But Vanessa is, I never once doubted that she was my friend. She would let you know she was your friend, and then that was it. And it's like, she always had a cheery word, never let anything that she was going through, you know, come across to me. We were only really casual friends, but after a bunch of years go by, it's kind of like, you know, well then that goes into something else. And it's like, there was a camaraderie with Vanessa. It's like, if all the chips were down, I would want her on my side because she knows a lot about, you know, guerrilla survival, all like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I still feel that way about her.
A job at Easy Does It, and then I don't know if Rose wants to say it, but she was looking for this live-in that she found in the paper with Saint, right? She found that, and Rose gave her, because Rose was the one to talk to Harriet about a good reference about Easy Does It, and after that I gave her a few gigs. In fact, she was going to the gig when she had that first stroke. And all she wanted to have is gigs up on Grizzly Peak because she lived up there. It's really hard to get down off the hill. But that's what I admired about Vanessa, her always being there. You know, I mean, I had a lot of problems at times with Michael, and who do you turn to is one of his children saying, well, I don't know how to deal with them, and she's like my age, and
She knows him best.
she knows him best.
I never mostly had health care all my life. So there is health care here in town, except they tend to undertreat you. But I think the best facility is at Russell and Ellsworthy. Now it's men's and women's health clinic. It used to be women's health clinic. And but anyway, she couldn't get an appointment, so then she, as an alternative, she went to the Berkeley Health Clinic. They undertreated her, and I think somebody was telling me that she even talked about how she was waiting to try and it seems to affect the women, or the men too, but it's, and now you can treat it. It can be treated. Okay, so then she's out at Alameda Hospital. They say, okay, you know, finally get her to where she's talking or something like that. And then one about her, but tells you what's on the charts. And she said, well, there's this clog down in this artery. What do we call this? And they're going to have to operate on that later on. Well, okay. So Alameda Hospital, I imagine you read the last few months, or big cutback. And basically the line, even when I asked, well, that's been taken care of. So that's what sort of, that it's sort of it isn't a county hospital. It's because they got her Medi-Cal. And right before she goes out of Alameda Hospital, which is part of the Fairmont Hospital, which is part of the Alameda Medical Facility here in Alameda County, I said, well, look, we can't do nothing unless you get her on Medi-Cal. And then,
They said that the blood clot was dissolved, right, Mike?
yeah, they said it was
And what
dissolved.
happened, she should have had that operation once she got better from the severe stroke. Because the severe stroke is because it was so major and it was so severe that it made her really weak that she needed to be straight